You've probably always heard that energy is a one-way street, right? You make it, you use it, it's gone. But what if that's not the whole story? Today, we're diving into a concept that really tries to break that rule, the self-recycling energy box. Let's see what's going on inside. So let's just kick things off with a simple, but honestly, pretty wild question. What if energy wasn't just a thing you use up? What if you could actually capture it, reuse it, and regenerate it, all in a continuous loop? That's the absolutely fascinating idea we're digging into today. All right, so why are we even talking about this? What's the big deal with recycling energy? Well, it all starts with this massive puzzle that we just can't seem to solve. Our world needs more and more power, but even our smartest, greenest solutions have a fundamental flaw. I mean, just think about it for a second. Even our best green technologies, solar and wind, they've got this one huge catch. They completely depend on the outside world. If the sun decides not to shine or the wind isn't blowing, well, the power just stops. This dependency is the big puzzle we've been trying to crack. And that leads to this really radical thought. What if the answer isn't just getting better at catching unpredictable energy from the outside? What if we could build a system that doesn't need the outside world at all? And that's the whole idea behind the box that powers itself. So what is this thing called? Well, it's the AGE box, which stands for Auto-Sustainable Generators of Electricity. The concept is as simple as it is profound, a totally self-contained system that runs on a continuous internal power loop. It's not about grabbing energy from outside, it's about recycling what's already inside. This really sets up a fundamental split, doesn't it? On one side, you've got pretty much every energy source we've ever known, all needing some kind of external fuel. Sun, wind, coal, you name it. And on the other side, you've got the AGE box, which theoretically just needs its own internal loop, completely cut off from the outside world. And make no mistake, the ambition here is, well, it's huge. The goal isn't just to build a better generator. It's to create a tiny, self-contained electrical ecosystem. It's like a whole world in a box, where energy is born, used, and then reborn, without ever needing to leave. Okay, hold on. I know what you're thinking. That sounds impossible, right? Like it breaks the laws of physics or something. How in the world could a system create and reuse its own power, basically forever? Well, to get that, we need to look at the theory behind this so-called perpetual loop. So the whole theory really boils down to three key pillars. First, there's the closed-loop regeneration, the idea that any energy you make is immediately recaptured and reused. Second, instead of relying on the unpredictable sun, it uses its own stable artificial light source. And finally, the whole point is to reach what's called system equilibrium, a perfect balance where the box is generating as much or even more energy than it uses. Okay, so what does this loop actually look like in action? Well, it's a pretty slick cycle. It all starts with an internal LED panel that acts like a mini sun. Right below it, a solar panel soaks up that light and turns it into electricity. That juice gets stored in some batteries, and here's the kicker. The power from those batteries is then used to light up the LED panel all over again, restarting the whole cycle. It's this incredible recursive energy loop. You know, the inventor, Mario Arturo Ruiz Estrada, put it in this really beautiful kind of poetic way. He said, "Light is born from electricity, and electricity is reborn through light." That perfectly sums up the elegant little dance happening inside the AG box. Okay, so theory is one thing, but what's actually in the box? Let's take a look at the hardware. What physical parts do you need to actually build one of these self-contained energy ecosystems? When you break it down, the hardware is actually pretty straightforward, and it's all stacked in these really smart layers. You've got the LED panel at the very top, acting as that artificial sun. Right below it, a solar panel to catch the light. Down at the bottom, batteries to store the power, and of course, the whole thing is connected with wiring that keeps that energy flowing in a loop. And the whole setup is housed inside this clear acrylic cube. And that's not just to make it look cool in a lab. The transparent walls are designed to trap and reflect any stray light, basically bouncing it back toward the solar panel to make sure as little energy as possible gets lost. It's all about efficiency. Now, even though the whole point is for it to be self-sufficient, the design is actually really practical. It's not totally sealed off from the world. It has an output cable so you can actually power things with it. And just as important, it has an input that lets you give the system its first kick of energy or top it off with outside power if you ever need to, which makes it way more flexible for real-world use. The inventor uses this really powerful way to describe it.
He calls it a self-sustaining electrical organism. And when you stop and think about that, it kind of makes perfect sense. It's a system designed to feed itself, regulate itself, and sustain itself, almost like it's alive.
So we've looked at the theory, we've looked at the hardware, but this whole project, it's really driven by something much bigger, a philosophical vision. What could a device like this really mean for our future? Are we talking about a future of free energy?
And this philosophy completely flips our usual thinking about energy on its head. Like the inventor says, in this closed loop, energy doesn't just disappear. Instead, it circulates, it transforms, and it returns. It's not being consumed, it's being recycled.
And it's a big if, but if this concept can be perfected, what could we actually do with it? Well, the possibilities are kind of mind-blowing. Imagine power sources for remote cabins that never ever need refueling, emergency power for disaster zones. You could even power a self-sustaining habitat on Mars or a deep space probe that's way too far from the sun. The potential is just staggering. And all of this really builds to the inventor's final point, his ultimate vision, which is just so simple and powerful. If energy can be regenerated, energy can be freed. Freed from where you live, freed from the weather, and freed from the fact that our resources are finite. So, where does that leave us with the Age Box? What are we really looking at here? Is it a brilliant blueprint for an autonomous energy future? Something that could change everything? Or is it a fascinating paradox in a box? A thought experiment that pushes up against the very laws of thermodynamics? That's the big question it leaves us with.